Deep within the Grand Canyon, there's a story that was never meant to be told. It's about Cave 17, a site that officially doesn't exist anymore. Before it was sealed off and erased from the maps, park rangers patrolling the area started reporting things they couldn't explain. At first, it was just unusual sounds echoing from the cave's depths. But soon, the official response to these reports became even stranger than the sounds themselves. In the weeks after the first auditory reports were filed, a quiet but firm directive came down from the top. Supervisors who once asked for detailed explanations suddenly changed their tune. They began to discourage certain phrases. Rangers were instructed to simplify the reports and avoid speculative language. The unspoken message was loud and clear. Stop writing down what you can't explain. This wasn't an official policy written in a manual. It was communicated through verbal warnings during briefings. No paper trail, no recordings. Just a spoken reminder that some experiences were better left out of the official logs. Rangers were told that their jobs were to document facts, not folklore. But what do you do when the facts themselves sound like folklore? Despite the pressure, a few rangers couldn't ignore what they were witnessing. They continued to document their encounters, risking their careers to get the truth on record. One report detailed voices seeming to answer back during periods of radio silence, mimicking the static and clicks of their equipment. Another mentioned the chilling sensation of movement coming from behind solid, sealed-off sections of the cave wall. A third described a persistent feeling of being watched, a presence that would follow patrols silently, leaving no tracks and making no sound. It was always just out of sight, felt but never seen. These reports didn't go unnoticed. They were flagged almost immediately. By late February of that year, at least one ranger received a formal, written warning after submitting a particularly detailed log of an incident. The warning was a masterpiece of bureaucratic evasion. It didn't deny his experience. It didn't call him a liar. It simply stated that the information he provided was not appropriate for official documentation. That phrase, not appropriate, started appearing again and again in internal memos that were later uncovered. Think about that. Not false, not incorrect, just inappropriate. It was a way of acknowledging the reality of the experiences while simultaneously burying them. As the pressure from above mounted, the official documentation began to dry up. Rangers still encountered the phenomena, but their written logs became vague and sanitized. The strange, echoing sounds were now dismissed as environmental factors or wind anomalies. Unexplained equipment failures, like compasses spinning wildly or radios cutting out at crucial moments, were blamed on magnetic interference or the rugged terrain. The story was being rewritten in real time, with every strange event being given a mundane, plausible explanation. But everyone on the ground knew what was really happening. They knew the explanations were just a cover. Then came the incident that shattered the fragile silence. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. A routine patrol team entered the area around Cave 17 and returned hours later, visibly shaken. The details of what they encountered were never officially recorded, but the aftermath was immediate and drastic. They flat out refused to re-enter the canyon, with some reportedly threatening to quit on the spot if they were ordered back in. This forced the Park Service's hand. A high-level, closed-door meeting was convened. No minutes were taken. Within 48 hours, the decision was made. Cave 17 was permanently removed from all patrol rotations. Rangers who knew the area were quietly reassigned, scattered to different parts of the park without explanation. Access points leading to the cave were physically blocked and then digitally erased from all park maps. Training materials were updated, and any mention of Cave 17 was scrubbed clean. On paper, it was as if the cave had never existed. The official reason given to the public and the wider park staff was geological instability and public safety concerns. It was a plausible, boring explanation designed to stop any further questions. Internally, however, one final, cryptic note was circulated among a very select group of senior staff. This memo advised all personnel to minimize their exposure to the area and, more importantly, to limit any discussion about what had happened. The reason given was to prevent what the memo chillingly referred to as psychological contamination. No definition of that term was ever provided. What could possibly happen in a cave that would be considered psychologically contagious? The memo left that to the imagination, which was perhaps the most terrifying part. For decades, the story of Cave 17 became a ghost story, a piece of ranger folklore whispered around campfires. It was a tale of a place that was so unsettling, the authorities had to pretend it didn't exist. Many of the original rangers retired or moved on, and the memory faded into legend. But the truth has a funny way of surfacing. Years later, during a routine transfer of old archives, a box of sealed documents was discovered. These weren't supposed to be seen by anyone. Inside were the fragments of the story that had been so carefully suppressed. There were partial reports with key details redacted, handwritten notes scribbled in the margins of official forms, and references to those verbal warnings that were never meant to be found. These documents pieced together the puzzle. They confirmed what the Rangers had known all along. The shutdown of Cave 17 was never about falling rocks or safety protocols. It was a deliberate, calculated effort to stop something from being recorded, to stop a story from being told. They were terrified of what was in that cave, but they seemed even more terrified of the world finding out about it. The documents proved the cover-up, but they didn't solve the central mystery. What were the Rangers hearing? What was moving behind the walls? What was the silent presence that followed them in the dark? We don't have the answers because the goal wasn't to understand it or to deal with it. The goal was to silence it. And whatever they were warned not to document, whatever was so inappropriate for the official record, was left right where they found it, sealed in the dark, deep inside a cave that isn't on any map, waiting. Thanks for watching. If you find these hidden stories as fascinating as I do, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you won't miss our next deep dive into the unknown. See you next time.